I'd never been away from home more than, an hour's drive away from Denver. Once I hit high school, I decided I wanted to join the Army, so I enlisted in the Army between my junior and senior years. It was just something I wanted to do to serve my country, and I was stationed in Erlangen, Germany. Europe was beautiful. I was there from 88 to 91. The Soviet Union was still on the other side of the Iron Curtain, the Berlin Wall was still up, and then the wall came down. And I got to be there in a very historic place and time, and got to see East and West Germany unify. It was a neat experience. I'll never forget that. Then one day I heard this country named Iraq invaded Kuwait, and I had no idea where Kuwait was. The sergeant at the desk was just telling everybody, hey, Iraq just invaded Kuwait and we might be going to war. That was scary. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. I was like, oh my gosh. And then out in the middle of the desert we were. We did reconnaissance, basically find the enemy. Once we found the enemy, ideally what we would do, we would back up, the tanks would go take them out, or the helicopters, or the aircraft. In an ideal situation, we wouldn't have to fire one round because we're not supposed to be found. It really got real when we moved to our last staging area before we rolled into Iraq. I remember we had stopped for a minute and I looked back, and as far as I could see from one horizon to the other, nothing but armored vehicles, and we were like in the front of them. My God, this is real. And in the back of your mind, you're just thinking, we're gonna go to war. And how am I gonna do? Am I gonna make it home? I was a driver of an armored vehicle. I drove with my head out so I could see. Being that I was 6 feet above the battlefield, a front row seat to everything. Blown up tanks, blown up people. I could feel the heat of the burning tanks on my face as we drove past it. I mean, I saw stuff that people shouldn't see. I would just get angry, and I didn't know why I was angry. I had no reason to be angry. And sometimes I just get sad. I had no reason to get sad. I had troubles being in crowds. I was very claustrophobic because the whole time I was driving my vehicle, I felt so vulnerable. And I was watching the enemy soldiers getting blown up out of their vehicles. I'm driving something similar, but I have a different color uniform on. But that could easily happen to me, and there would be a dang thing I could have done to fix it.
I feel like PTSD is very much misunderstood or stigmatized. He struggles with PTSD and flashbacks and night terrors.
I also have what's known as Gulf War syndrome or Gulf War illness. I have a hard time with my mobility sometimes, hard time with my balance, hard time getting upstairs.
My dad was hurting a lot. It was really rough because my dad couldn't really go anywhere.
I was a police officer for 23 years. And the reason I became a police officer in my heart was to make up for all the bad stuff I saw in the war. And there came a time when when my Gulf War illnesses started just getting more and more and more severe, that it just interfered with my work. I could not think straight.
We started noticing cognitive changes within him, his ability to recall, make sense of what he was writing down.
Eventually I had to be retired from it, and then all of a sudden I'm at home and I didn't have a purpose. There's been the soldier Chris, there's been the police officer Chris, but who's Chris? I didn't know who I was.
Freedom Service Dogs was something that we were aware of. We knew as he progressed and things continued to get worse that at some point in his life he would need maybe a service dog.
Then I got a phone call and they said, there's a dog for you to meet. And her name's Reef. When I first met her, it reminded me of when I first kissed my bride, when both my kids were born. It was that powerful. Because I just, I was like, this dog's gonna fix me.
He told us that we were getting Reef, and I just started running around in circles because I was really happy.
And when I drove up in the driveway, my daughters put this big chalk thing, welcome Reef and Dad. And and I was just like, right on. At the school, picking up my daughter is awesome because all these kids come out and they're just like, hi Reef, hi Reef. And she just eats that up. She loves that.
It's fun because then my friends can always say hi to a dog after their long 8 hours of school.
Seeing the kids just smile at her, and it's just like, I mean, it warms my heart.
There's no questions, there's no judgment, it's just love. When they're struggling, you know, she picks up on that and she nudges him, she licks him, she kind of, gets in his face and takes up his space and forces him to kind of snap out of it. And it's nice because it definitely doesn't impact him the way it used to, and he's able to snap out and kind of recognize, hey, I'm in a safe location, I'm safe, I'm, loved, and that was in the past and everything's, okay right now.
She also helps with anxiety and walking in public. And with huge crowds, my dad gets scared, so then Reef just cuddles him when that happens.
I know I'm in a better place.
It was exciting seeing my dad again.
Having Reef as my service dog. Everybody spent all those hours and hours and days training her for me. Just thinking about that is overwhelming, that these people did all this stuff for me. I think in this brief time I've become a better husband, a better father, a better friend.
From the bottom of our hearts, I would say thank you. It's made a huge impact in our life and for the better.
Thank you for making her such a great dog.
I feel excited because then Reef will never leave our side, and then she'll always be with us.
I experienced a lot of bad stuff, but I made it through okay. I'm proud of myself for how I bounced back. There were times I never thought I ever would, and I did. I sure did. And she helps me bounce back every day.